So then, do like we want to say what like connections are between those? Is there?
Well,
Any?
yeah, sure. I mean, did you spot any? I mean, they're both obviously the '80s action kind of thing. We mentioned the scores kind of sounding like they were lesser versions of kind of like you mentioned Chariots of Fire. I said Hoosiers for Delta Force, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's you get a strong Beverly Hills Cop connection with I can't think. I was going to say Killing American Style with Young Rebels. Excuse me.
One movie is made by an Iranian gentleman, and the other
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
is
There you
made
go.
by a guy with a very harsh view of Iran. If the opening sequence of Delta Force is to teach us anything,
But I think both films are made by
yep.
filmmakers in America who weren't born in America, and I do think that comes through. I know I've talked
Oh
about
yeah,
this, but I think the kind of the American optimism, patriotism, whatever you want to call it, that kind of thing comes through as someone Menachem Golan who's just happy to be in America. At least that's the impression I get. And then Amir Shervan is really, really just trying to make an American action movie. He's just
yep.
trying to do it, and he's made his own, almost his own genre of American action movies, I guess you could say. So,
Well, and there is something like over and over again throughout cinema history to be said for like immigrants to America, or even like people who never actually immigrate to America, making movies about America that have some like very poignant observations about America and the way different parts of America function. That's not the case with either one of these movies.
no, these aren't those kinds of movies.
but
Sure.
but that's more the case because like these guys just aren't great filmmakers.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if Sergio Leone wants to say something about the American experience in Once Upon a Time in America, I'm going to let him, but I don't know if I want Amir Shervan discussing that kind of thing.
No, not so much.
You already said which of the two movies you prefer. You are,
Yes.
just to reiterate, you are a Young Rebel stan in this circumstance.
I'm a Young Rebel stan, and the phrase "Young Rebels" got stuck in my head enough while I was watching the movie that it then made me just want to go listen to "Searching for the Young Soul Rebels" by Dexys Midnight Runners.
Okay, I see. I was just thinking of David Bowie the entire movie.
Oh yeah, I could have gone that route too, but no, like that was stuck in my head. I was like, this is too close of a name. And so then I walked around and listened to Dexys Midnight Runners. So, maybe that's why I'm also, like, okay with Young Rebels in the end.
No, I have to make the decision of which movie I prefer.
Uh-huh.
Honestly, it's tough because it's so... You mentioned the length,
Yep.
and I don't want to, the length disparity. Given that I didn't love the Delta Force, the 2 hours and 10 minutes felt pretty long. Given that I kind of enjoyed Young Rebels, the 93 minutes or whatever kind of went by fast. But I think I'm going to say the Delta Force, that I prefer that. And the reason, I mean, I don't think it was great or anything, but I think I'm also, my views on Young Rebels are hindered a bit by, I can't not compare it to these other more enjoyable movies I've seen from Amir Shervan. It's the same reason I'm not a huge fan of the original Halloween 2, it's just a not as entertaining version of Halloween 1. It's just like if I have a better version of the relatively same movie to compare it to, I'm always going to be kind of unfairly harsh maybe. But that's just kind of where my brain is, and it sounded like I enjoyed the Delta Force more than you. I was fully into that first half.
Yeah.
I was really into it. And then I was into some of the second half. I was into the murder cycle, and I was into the car chase, and that's about it. But, all in all, Delta Force to me was a passable movie. They're both passable movies, but I think if I were to watch one again, I think it would be the Delta Force. I don't feel great about that, but that's what I'm sticking with right now.
If all of Delta Force was more like the first half, if the second half continued the first half, then it would be a lot more lopsided in favor
100%. Because if it continues the energy of that first half, you don't have a schlock action film. You have like a really tense, gripping thriller. You have like Charles Bronson in 10 to Midnight or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be awesome, but it just... it wasn't that, but that's
No.
Whatever. We had to see Chuck Norris shoot people, I guess. It is weird that Chuck Norris is the star, and all of the best stuff in the movie 100% doesn't involve him.
None of it.
And I don't think those are unrelated.
Nope.
Chuck Norris is boring. He just is.
Chuck Norris is very boring.